Hello guys and welcome to this explanation session. Today's session is about the Q-learning, which is a pretty famous, let's say, algorithms in the reinforcement learning. Okay, so first of all, let us start with defining this reinforcement learning. So we already know the supervised learning, which is based on inputs like data with labels. Okay, and we are trying to predict or to classify as output. Okay, so we are learning with data with labels. Okay, so we already have the labels. In the unsupervised learning, we have data without labels, and we are trying to cluster or to label this data based on the similarity between them. Okay, but now in the reinforcement learning, the input will be the states and actions, and we have an agent that will learn to interact with the environment to achieve a reward. So the agent or the player, or let's call it the learner, is not told which actions to take, but instead it must discover by himself or by experience which actions yield the most rewards by trying them. Okay, so now we are learning by our experience only. So, reinforcement learning focuses on how you or how something might act in an environment in order to maximize some given reward. So, let's see an example to understand more these words. So, suppose that there is an AI agent here that present within an environment. So, here we have this environment, and here we have our agent. Okay, so the goal in this game is to find the diamond here. So if we have the diamond, we have a reward +1, and if we are here, we are having a reward as -1. Okay, so the agent interacts with the environment by performing some actions. So the actions might be moving up, down, left, or right. Okay, the state of the agent gets changed. So here we have the state S9. If we are moving up, we will be in the state S5. And it also receives a reward or a penalty as feedback. Okay, so here, for example, we don't have a reward, but if we are here and we are moving up, we are going to get a reward as -1. Okay, so the agent continues doing these three things, which are take an action, take an action in the environment, change the state or remain in the same state. So here, if we are moving down, we are going to stay in the same state. Okay, and then we are going to get a feedback or a reward, and the agent will receive, or our output will be this rewards and this new state, and we are doing this again. Okay, so by learning these actions, we are learning and exploring the environment that we have. So the agent learns that what actions lead to positive feedbacks or rewards, and what actions lead to the negative feedbacks penalty. So the positive rewards, the agent will get a positive point here +1, and as penalty, the agent will get this negative point, which is -1. So let's define now the terms used in the reinforcement learning. We have an agent, which is an entity that can perceive or explore the environment and act upon it. Then we have the environment, which is a situation in which an agent is present or surrounded by. So here we have this environment. Okay, so in the reinforcement learning, we assume that we have the stochastic environment, which means that it is random in nature. Okay, then we have an action. So the actions are the moves taken by an agent within the environment. We have here the actions are to moving up, down, left, or right. We have the state, which is a situation returned by the environment after each action taken. And then we have, so here we have these states. Okay, so it's like the position that we are in. And then we have the reward, which is the feedback returned to the agent from the environment to evaluate the actions of the agent. Okay, so guys, all these are the components of an MDP. So what is MDP? And MDP is the Markov decision process that we are going to define right now. A Markov decision process is a mathematical framework to describe an environment in the reinforcement learning. So this formalization is the basis for structuring problems that are solved with reinforcement learning. So we are going to see in the following figure how the agent-environment interaction in this Markov decision process. So here the agent and the environment interact at each discrete time step t. Okay, so it will start, for example, with t equals to 0, and then it will get to, for example, t equals to 10, for example, 10. Okay, so here we have 10 steps or 10 episodes. Okay, so at each time step t, the agent gets information about the environment. So here it will get this st, and then based on that it will chooses an action at. Okay, and by taking this action it will get to the next state st plus 1, and it will get the next reward rt plus 1. As you can see, RT and ST here define a discrete probability distributions that depend only on the preceding state and actions. Okay, so here in this problem, our ST plus 1 and RT plus 1 will depends only or it depends only on the preceding state and action ST and AT. Okay, so this is what makes it a Markov decision process. Okay, guys, so if we can solve for Markov decision processes, then we can solve a whole bunch of reinforcement learning problems. Solving this problem means that we should find the optimal policy that will maximize my reward in long term. So when I say policy, I mean strategy, and I will define it just now. So we use the symbol pi to denote a policy. So a policy is the specific strategy, so it is a strategy that we take in order to get into high value states or take high value actions to maximize our rewards over time. Okay, so it's a bunch of actions that I will do or I will make in order to maximize my rewards. We say that an agent follows a policy. Okay, so there is two, or it could be deterministic or stochastic policy. So if it is deterministic, the same action is produced by the policy pi at any state. So if I am in the state S, I'm sure that I'm going to make the move A or the action A. Now, if the policy is stochastic, there is a probability that will determine the produced actions. Okay, so when an agent follow a policy pi at time t, then the policy of the action A giving this state S is going to be the probability that ET is equals to A, to this action, giving ST equals to S, while I am in the state S. Okay, so this means that at time t, under the policy pi, the probability of taking an action E in the state S is going to be this pi of A giving S. So, for example, in this previous game, if I am in this state and I want to move up, I'm not 100% sure that I can move up. So I have, for example, 80% to move up, okay, because it's a nature environment, okay. So here I am in a stochastic environment, okay, and I'm using a stochastic policy. So the moves that I will make in each state are probabilities. Now, these policies were the answer of the question, what is the probability that an agent will select a specific action from a specific state? But now let's answer the question, how good is a specific action or a specific state for the agent? This is where the role of the value functions come. So the value functions, it will measure how good it is for an agent to be in a given state or to select a given action. So the value function estimates how good it is for an agent to be in a given state or how good it is for the agent to perform a given action in a given state. Okay, so we have how good a state is, which is the state value function. So this measures how good any given state is for an agent following a policy path. So the formula will have this form, okay? So we have the value of this state S following the policy pi. So here we have the expected return starting from S at time t and following the policy pi. Okay, so here I am doing the summation over the rewards starting from time t until the future rewards, and I'm giving more importance to the reward that I'm going to receive now. Okay, so while I am moving forward or moving in the future, I'm not very interested, for example, here in the reward of t plus 3. Okay, because this term gamma, which is the discount rate, it's going to be your value between 0 and 1, and when it is squared, it's going to be less than here than gamma and less than 1 here. Okay, so generally an agent is more interested in the reward that it will receive now than the reward that it's going to have in the future. Okay, so this is why we're using this discount rate, and this is the formula of our state value function. The other one is the state action value function, which is the Q function. So here the Q function will measure how good it is for the agent to take any given action from a given state while following the policy pi. So this will measure the value of an action under the policy pi. Okay, and this is what we call the Q function. Okay, so the Q function will have as input state and action. Okay, so this is called the Q value for that state giving that action, and it's going to have this formula. So here we have the expected discount cumulative reward, okay, and here we have the giving that state and that action. Okay, so here we have as input the state and the action, and we are going to calculate the Q value. Now, after defining this Q function and these value functions, we are going to define what is an optimal value function. Okay, so let's start with the optimal state value function. It's going to be called the V star of the state S. It is the maximum value function over all policies. So it tells us the maximum possible reward you can extract from the system. So it has this formula, which is the maximum over all policies of the value function or of the state value function. Okay, now the optimal action value function, or the key star of the couple S and A, it is the maximum action value function over all policies. So it tells us what is the maximum possible reward you can extract from the system, starting at the state S and taking an action A. Okay, and it has this formula. So why we need this Q star? In fact, the Q star tells us which actions to take to behave optimally. So once we have the Q star, we can determine the optimal policy. Okay, so an optimal policy can be found by maximizing over Q star of the couple S and A. So it's going to be 1 if A equals to the argmax of this Q star, and 0 otherwise. Okay, so one fundamental property of Q star, so this is one way to find this Q star, is that it must satisfy the following equation, which is the estimation of the expected reward we get from taking action A in state S, which is the RT plus 1, plus the maximum expected discounted return that can achieve from any possible next state actions pair, which is S prime and A prime. Okay, this is, guys, is the Bellman optimality equation. Now, how can we learn this optimal Q function? So the solution to do this is the Q learning. Okay, so the Q learning is a reinforcement learning technique used for learning the optimal policy in a Markov decision process. So it is to find the optimal policy by learning the optimal Q values for each state and action pair. Okay, so to sum up, the Q learning algorithms is to learn the action value function. Okay, so how it does this? In fact, the Q learning will update the Q value for each state action pair using the Bellman equation until the Q function converges to the optimal Q star. So the Q-learning algorithm process is going to be this way. First of all, we are going to define the Q table, which has as rows the states that we have and as columns the actions. For example, if we are in the previous game, the actions will be up, down, left, and right, and the states will be from S0 to S8 or from S1 to S9, I think. Okay, so first of all, we have all the values of the Q equals to 0 here. So here we have the Q values in this table. Okay, so the Q values is going to be for the pair S and A. After this, if I am in this specific state, I'm going to choose an action A. Okay, so we have here all the values are 0, so I'm going to explore my environment and I'm going to choose an action A. Then I'm going to perform this action to receive a reward, and I'm going to update my Q value of these state and action pair. Okay, okay, so next I'm going to show you how we can update this value, but at the end of this training, so we are going to do this training over and over again, and I'm going to have as final result a good Q star table. Okay, so once we have this Q star table, we have all my Q values here, and to choose a specific action when I am in this state, I'm going to choose the maximum of all these Q values. Okay, and I'm going to take this action. Okay, so this is what we call here the argmax of the Q star S and A. Okay, so let's see this with details. Here, how can I update my Q value? Okay, so here I have my new Q value for the state and action. For example, here I'm going to update this one. Okay, here this is my Q table. Okay, so it's going to be my new Q value. It's going to be my current Q values plus my learning rate of the means times the reward for taking an action in a state plus the discount rate of the maximum expected future reward minus my current Q values. Okay, so this is, it's like the loss function or something like this, and here we are going to update this value here. So we do these updates over and over again until we have no longer need this update and we have a constant value of these Q values. Then we have the convergence and we have the optimal Q star. Now, the last concept that we need to know is the balance between the exploitation and the exploration. Okay, so why we need to explore my environment? Because in fact, if I am using all the time the maximum of my Q function, it might have some other strategies or some other ways to play the game that I can't see or I couldn't explore. Okay, so we need to exploit what I learned so far, and in other cases or in some steps, I need to explore my environment. Okay, so to get to this balance between exploitation and exploration, we use what is called an epsilon greedy strategy. So with this strategy, we define an exploration rate, which is epsilon, that we initially set to 1. Okay, so actions at time 1 will be the maximum of my Q values with the probability of 1 minus epsilon, and a random action with the probability of epsilon. So I am exploring my environment with probability epsilon, and I'm exploiting what I've learned so far with a probability 1 minus epsilon. Okay, so this is an important strategy in the Q learning so that I can get to the optimal policy. That's it for me, guys. So in your project, you are going to work with the OpenAI gem, which is pretty simple. It's going to have some methods to play with the frozen lake environment. Okay, so we will see this and I will code for you these methods in the next session. Okay, guys, so thank you and see you on Friday.